Dorothy here again. So I have a few more stories for you tonight. I wanted to talk about, I never said much about Noel and I getting together, but we were very, very young, as you know, and we were very devoted to each other. But we knew we would have to wait a little while to get married because we were so young, we just couldn't afford it. So anyway, we both got very busy with our careers, but kept together. We were inseparable, in fact, and he joined Monkstown Rugby and got very busy playing on the firsts and also raising money for a new pavilion. So in the meantime, I went to UCD for a while. My parents got such a shock when I got my leaving that, right or wrong, I had to go to university. So as it happens, because I didn't have Latin, I was very precluded. I couldn't even do a BA. All I could do was a BCom. So having been a failed maths student in my leaving and having studied all that summer then after doing the leaving to get the matric with Noel's help, I did get the matric, so then I was able to get in. But BCom was honours maths. So I was like a fish out of water. But anyway, I had a great time. I said, right, well, I'm in now, and I could do the economics and I could do the other subjects, but maths and me were just absolutely, he was like a complete Greek. So anyway, some of the students in with me were laughing because they said, one guy got the gold medal in Ireland for maths, and he said to me, in the name of God, what are you doing here in this degree? So I joined all the societies and the Dram Society and met Kate Binchy, and anyway, I was having a great time. And in the meantime, Noel and I were still, together as we all planned to be. So anyway, I decided, I'll stick till Christmas. There's no way I can justify a year in here at this bazzing. So anyway, then I decided I applied to get into a modelling course. So I applied to Miriam Woodburn Agency and I got in because the main thing you needed for the modelling was to have the right figure. So I was a good size 12, 20-inch waist. And anyway, so I did the modelling course and then I got into fashion shows. So it was great fun. So my very first big fashion show was in the Central Hotel. So it happened to be on a Thursday night, and that was one of Noel's rugby training nights. So I said to him, I won't see you tonight. I'm doing a fashion show in the Central Hotel in Exchequer Street there, or Wicklow Street. So anyway, I got into, I was actually picked to be the bride walking right down this big, long corridor at the end of the show to show off my gorgeous bridal outfit. And I saw this crowd of lads in a kind of a semicircle sitting on seats up and one behind the other down the end of the corridor, and clear to God, when I arrived down in the bridal gown, there was Noel with his team. They had been training in Monkstown they did training on whatever night it was, and they decided to come in and surprise me. Well, by jingo, did they surprise me. And it was only hilarious. The teasing Noel got. Here's your bride walking down in her full wedding dress. So that was a funny experience. And then I did there was a fashion competition in the Sunday Press, and you had to have photographs taken. So there'd be 8 pictures in every Sunday, and there was great prizes. Like at one stage, the prize was £1 a week for life. Now, you might laugh now, but at that time, the average wages were £4 a week. So to win £1 a week for life was a quarter of your present earnings. So anyway, I'd be 8 pictures in, and before, say, of me and 4 of maybe Yvonne Berry or Adrian Ring. These were Hannah Jorgensen. And so we had great fun with that, because when you'd go to anywhere, people would say, oh, saw you in the Sunday Press. And anyway, I couldn't do the competition because I wouldn't win anything. So anyway, I wouldn't be eligible. But it was good fun, and then I did fashion shows up the country, which were pretty hard work now, to be quite honest with you, But it was kind of like a forerunner for doing plays, so it came sort of naturally to me, and I sort of enjoyed it. It was nice wearing the glamorous clothes and lovely evening wear and things like that. But I wouldn't have fancied making a career out of it. So in the meantime, my family were very involved in fashions, and my uncle Michael had this factory, Yvonne Models, and he was very entrepreneurial. So he just comes to me one evening and he said to me, I want you to go over to London. Now at this stage, I'm kind of freelance working, helping one or other, the shops and doing things, doing the fashion shows. So he said, I want you to sell some clothes for me in London. So anyway, he gave me about 5 suitcases, told me gave me somewhere to stay. His sister-in-law had a house in London and I was to stay with her. At this stage now, I'm only not even 20. So anyway, off I go with cases full of First Communion dresses to sell in London. So luckily enough, he told me to contact the Irish Export Board, Corus-Trochthala in Regent Street. So I went in there to them, and their job is to kind of help you get contacts. So I arrive, and I'm sure they were absolutely amazed. This woman arrived with her communion dresses to sell in London, of all places. I wouldn't imagine they were very much into First Communions. But anyway, they were very helpful, and they suggested I get in touch with a buyer in Selfridges. So anyway, I got on the phone to her and she sounded lovely. I was very lucky to get her. And I said, I'd love to meet up with you and show you the range I have over here and see how we could do some business. So she seemed to be impressed. So she said, I'll meet you in my club for lunch. So we went to a beautiful club somewhere near Bond Street. And she was lovely. She was all sophisticated, probably about 35. And at this stage, I'm not even 20. So we got on great. So anyway, I explained to her that these were First Communion dresses, but that in the UK, while there weren't that many Catholics, there were certainly Protestants who make their communion. So I said, all you've got to do then is buy their sizes a bit bigger because they make it older. So anyway, didn't she give me a great order? And I couldn't believe it now. I really just couldn't believe it. So anyway, then he had given me some children's cotton dresses. So I got an appointment in Marks and Spencer's. So I go in with these dresses anyway, and I meet 3 buyers. And by the time the main buyer got to see the range, I had 4 dresses left on a rail out of about 20. So I said, oh my God, I haven't a snowball's chance now of selling these. Anyway, didn't they decide to buy them? And they bought hundreds of them. So many of a colour, of a size. So I get on to my Uncle Michael and I say to him, I've got an order, I think it was something like 500. And he said, I hope we can get enough fabric for them. Well, I thought, well, me, after getting the order. Anyway, I don't know what happened, whether they did get the fabric or not. But it was great fun to just achieve that little bit of business. And then years later, he sent me off to Canada and the US, selling Irish as well. So they kept me very busy in the family. And then my mother and my aunt had this shop in Mary Street, and it was called Anne Byrne Models, McDonald's shop, and they did bridal and evening wear. So twice a year, they would send me off with in the car with the whole range. That once would be the wedding dresses and for the summer ones, and then the evening would be another range, evening dresses, and they were magnificent dresses. And being a model, I would try them on for the buyers. So we'd take a room in a hotel, and the buyers would come in, and I'd model the dresses and sew them. So I did that twice a year. It took me about 4 weeks each time. But it was another part of my building up my career, and it was very interesting, and meeting lovely new buyers all over the country. And I'm sure I must have been in Vicky's mum's shop at some stage, because we did business with them in, I think it was Kilkenny. Yeah, so anyway, life was very, very busy. And in the meantime, I was doing my dramas, and Noel and I were head over heels, and it was great that we were both so busy, because things go quicker, and you're not sitting around thinking about, oh, when are we going to settle down? So that was my life anyway. So to continue, I must mention that I made some lovely friends in UCD, and one of them was David Kelly, Tix Kelly as he was known. His brother was Frank Kelly, who was in Father Ted, and Jerry DeBritt and Harry Malott and Niall Brophy. Lots of lovely guys and girls, and we had great fun and great sort of laugh and chats, and then they were all into the rugby as well. So it was lovely, like it was a real kind of a social event when I should have been studying for a degree. So anyway, years later I met Frank Kelly, who, as I say, had played Father Ted, down in the 40-foot. And we had a great chat, and he remembered meeting me, and he told me that Father Ted had put 7 children to university with his earnings. He had toured America with it, and of course they had the television rights, and he'd had a great success with it, and he'd imagine 7 children. He inherited 2 because the lady he married was a widow with 2 children, and then they had 5. So so it was great meeting him. That was many, many years later that I met him in the 40-foot. We chatted, and my grandsons had been watching Father Ted the night before on a box set. And when I said to them, I'm talking to Father Ted here, oh, they nearly drowned in the fort. They were swimming in the water and they nearly drowned, trying to get out to talk to him, So so it was lovely, and lots of other exciting things happened. So more to come.